Good afternoon and welcome to Pakistan Today News from our New York studio. I'm Chris Taylor. U.S. President Donald Trump has declared that the United States will not allow any country to blackmail the world as tensions with Iran continue to escalate. Speaking at the White House, President Trump revealed that Tehran had sent messages expressing urgency for a deal. He noted that while progress had been made on several issues, no agreement was reached on uranium enrichment. The U.S. president firmly reiterated that Iran will never be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons, underlining Washington's uncompromising stance on the matter. Meanwhile, the United States has enforced a naval blockade in the strategically critical Strait of Hormuz. According to U.S. Central Command, the operation extends beyond the strait into the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Military officials have issued a clear warning that any vessel entering or exiting the restricted zone without authorization will be stopped, diverted, or even seized, signaling a significant escalation in maritime security measures. The impact of this blockade is already being felt. Reuters reports that ship tracking data confirms disruptions to global shipping routes. According to marine traffic, at least 2 oil tankers, the Rich Starry and the Austria, reversed course shortly after approaching the strait. The U.S. military has confirmed that the operational scope of the blockade now reaches into the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea, raising concerns about further disruptions to global oil supply chains. We now go to our correspondent James Wood in London for more on the diplomatic developments surrounding this crisis. James, what can you tell us?
Thank you, Chris. Diplomatic efforts are intensifying here in Europe as leaders seek to prevent further escalation. The UK Prime Minister has announced that Britain and France will co-host high-level talks this week, aimed at securing a peaceful resolution to the conflict involving Iran. Officials say the discussions will focus on de-escalation, restoring maritime security, and reviving negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. There is cautious optimism, but diplomats acknowledge that significant differences remain between Washington and Tehran. The coming days are expected to be critical in determining whether diplomacy can prevail.
Thank you, James, for that update. In a parallel development, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has called on the European Union to play a more constructive role in easing tensions. During a phone call with French President Emmanuel Macron, he emphasized that Iran seeks negotiations strictly within the framework of international law. Pezeshkian warned that threats, pressure, and military actions would only complicate efforts toward achieving a lasting agreement. On the U.S. side, Vice President J.D. Vance has indicated that while talks with Iran have shown some progress, the next move now lies with Tehran. He expressed hope that Iran would take concrete steps to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Vance also reiterated Washington's red lines, stressing that Iran must remove nuclear material from its territory if any agreement is to be reached. At the global level, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged all parties to preserve the ceasefire between the United States and Iran and to continue dialogue in order to avoid further escalation. At the same time, International Energy Agency Chief Fatih Birol has warned that global energy markets could face a difficult period ahead as disruptions linked to the conflict continue to unfold. Adding to these concerns, major international organizations including the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and International Energy Agency have jointly urged countries to avoid hoarding energy supplies or imposing export restrictions. Fatih Birol warned that such measures are worsening what is already the biggest shock to global energy markets, with developing regions facing particularly severe shortages. That's all for now. You're watching Pakistan Today News. I'm Chris Taylor.